Welcome to Walls and Wire. Today we're talking about the astonishing political reversal in Sabah. How did Warisan, despite securing the highest number of seats as a single political party in the 17th Sabah state election, end up watching from the opposition bench?
It really is the ultimate political irony, isn't it? And a pretty brutal lesson in coalition arithmetic.
Absolutely. The shock right after was palpable. You see the results roll in. And Warisan has this technical win 25 state assembly seats. They were easily the largest single party.
They were. But, that success became irrelevant almost immediately. It's one thing to win at the ballot box. It's another thing entirely to translate that into a majority. This wasn't a failure of popularity, not really. It was a failure of strategy.
Exactly. And that's what we want to dissect today, to look past that initial shock and get into the mechanics of it. Because winning a bunch of seats is, well, it's meaningless if you can't build that 37-seat governing bloc.
Right. This whole situation is a masterclass in how political geography can completely dictate an outcome. It's not just about who won votes, but more importantly, where they won them.
Okay, so let's start with Warisan's strengths, because you don't just win 25 seats by accident. They were a regional powerhouse. Where did they actually dominate?
Oh, they were undeniably powerful in their zones. If you break down where those 25 seats came from, you see this really clear pattern. They consolidated support among very specific, very motivated voting blocs.
You mean the urban voters?
Yes, very much so. They had significant favor among urban voters and also the Chinese community. It suggests their policies on, say, infrastructure and economic growth really resonated in the state's main population centers.
You have to mention their East Coast strongholds. They defended those territories incredibly well. Places like Semporna, their base was rock solid.
It was rock solid. They held their ground, and they won those seats convincingly. This is the key thing about their strength. They reinforced their position where they were already powerful. It proves they have a very strong appeal to certain coastal and urban demographics.
And this is the massive but, isn't it?
It is. That success created a kind of a blind spot. Or maybe it just amplified a structural weakness that their opponents were ready to exploit.
So that leads us right to it. 25 seats. A huge block. Why did it lead to victory? This regional popularity, as strong as it was, it masked a fatal flaw.
It did. The decisive factor, and this has been true for a while now, was their persistent inability to penetrate the inland areas, to win over the inland voters.
The Achilles heel.
Exactly. It's the consistent Achilles heel for Warisan. It is just not enough to dominate the cities or the East Coast. The state assembly is structured to give a voice to the vast interior as well.
We hear about this divide all the time in Sabah politics, the coast versus the interior. It's not just about geography, is it? It's cultural, it's economic.
It is. When we talk about the interior, we're talking mainly about regions dominated by the Kadazan Dusun Murit communities. Their concerns are very different. They revolve around, land rights, resource allocation, and development that's tailored to their rural needs.
So a message about a modern, multiracial Sabah, which plays well in Kota Kinabalu, might not connect as well in a small town that depends on agriculture.
Precisely. Their immediate needs might feel sidelined by all the focus on coastal priorities. And because those interior seats are absolutely necessary to get a simple majority, well, that geographical segmentation just mathematically sealed their fate.
You can't compensate for it.
You simply can't. A strong East Coast performance just cannot make up for being shut out of the inner territories. You hit a ceiling, and that's what happened to Warisan.
Which brings us to the winners. The Sabah People's Coalition, or GRS. If Warisan had the momentum, GRS had the strategy. They knew how to do the math.
That's it, exactly. They understood the game isn't about who has the biggest single pile of seats. It's about who can get across that 37-seat finish line first. And they achieved it through some masterful, very decisive alliance building right after the results came in.
Let's break down that winning math. How did they pull it together?
Okay, so the Sabah People's Coalition itself secured 29 seats. That already put them 4 seats ahead of Warisan, giving them the biggest block to build from.
A solid starting point.
A very solid start. Then they immediately brought in the United Progressive Kinabalu organization, which added 3 crucial seats.
Okay, so that's 32. Almost there.
Then they got the Hope Coalition's 1 seat. That's 33. But the real game changer, the truly brilliant move, was getting the support of 5 independent members.
The kingmakers.
Always.
Yeah.
The independents are always the kingmakers in a fractured assembly like this, so you add it all up. 29 plus 3 plus 1 plus 5, that gives you 38 seats. A clear, solid majority in the 73-seat assembly. Game over.
And what stands out is how fast this all happened. It wasn't a long, drawn-out negotiation, was it? It had to be quick.
It had to be. And all credit for that goes to the Sabah People's Coalition chairman, Datuk Seri Haji Noor. It was a masterclass in swift post-election management. He locked down those independents before Warisan even had time to figure out what was happening. In coalition politics, if you hesitate, you lose. GRS did not hesitate.
Which brings us to Warisan's countermove, which felt, it felt a bit desperate once they saw GRS pulling the numbers together.
It was a last-ditch effort, born out of desperation. We saw the Warisan president, Shafee Apdal, trying to negotiate a deal with the United Malays National Organization.
Yeah, that was a surprising pairing for a lot of people, given their history.
It shows you how power can make for strange bedfellows in these post-election scrambles.
But the numbers, on paper, made sense. EMNO had 6 seats. You combine that with Warisan's 25, you get to 31. Still short, but it creates a big counterblock. Maybe you could peel off an independent or two.
It was their only mathematical path forward. But in the end, it just collapsed. The negotiation failed, and they couldn't get the backing they needed from anyone else.
Why do you think it fell apart? Was it just that GRS had already locked everyone down?
That was a huge part of it, the timing. But also, you have to remember that United Malays National Organization itself was dealing with its own internal divisions about who to align with. When you're trying to make a deal under that much pressure, any fracture in your potential partner's camp is fatal.
So Warisan needed them to be a single, solid block, and they just couldn't deliver that quickly enough.
Exactly. It wasn't just a failure to network. It was a failure to navigate the internal politics of their potential allies in a very, very narrow window of opportunity. GRS presented a unified, stable front. That made them the safer bet for everyone, especially the independents.
Okay, so let's try to summarize this for everyone listening.
Yeah.
The big takeaway here is that while having the most seats as a single party is great for bragging rights, political victory is purely about putting together a coalition that can govern. Warisan's success in the cities was completely undermined by their failure to break into the inland areas.
That's the essential truth of it. This election highlights a fundamental challenge in Sabah politics. If you can't appeal to the entire geographically diverse voter base, especially those critical inland regions, you will lose. It doesn't matter how popular you are in the capital.
You have to bridge that coastal-inland divide. If you ignore those interior districts, the math of the assembly will get you every single time.
The lesson is clear. Regional strength is just one piece of the puzzle. Winning state power requires a statewide strategy and, just as importantly, the political skill to build a majority from different, sometimes competing interests.
It really makes you think then about the future. And you have to wonder, considering this absolute reliance on inland support for a majority, how does Warisan change its strategy? What do you think they need to do to finally bridge this divide for the next election?
That is the strategic puzzle they have to solve. Do they need to radically shift their messaging, focus more on localized development, land reform? I mean, until they crack that interior code and really address the concerns of the Karazhan Dusun Murid communities, they'll likely stay the largest opposition party and nothing more.
A powerful lesson that popular support in one area doesn't equal governing power.
Indeed, it proves that politics, at its core, is an exercise in arithmetic and geography.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.